Yo, shalom. All praises to the Most High. Yehoshua. This is Sounds from YYBY. All right, so for years, I've been hearing a lot of people roaring about why Reason don't update their plugins, why they don't update their VSTs and such, why they don't do this and why they don't do that and why they don't change this, why they don't add this to the plugin and stuff like that. Now, I agree when they updated the resolution of them, the graphics, because they look so real, way more real than they used to look. And some people it don't matter to, but it matters to me because when you're dealing with 4K, 8K screens and your computer is 8K and this and that like that, the resolution start making stuff look real tiny. They don't function well, and then the clarity looks so real, so it's eye candy. It's dope, you know. But like I say, a lot of people angry about it, but they don't get it. I don't think they get it. Like it's either they not coming from the old school, and they only dealt with the new school, the digital technology, and they never dealt with the old school technology. It's either that, or they just like I say all the time, they spoil people. But I'm gonna explain something to you, right? The reason why I think that Reason shouldn't update their plugins, the reason why I think they wouldn't update their plugins is because Reason was designed as an analog concept. Like, really think about this for a second. It was designed as an analog concept. Turn it around, you rig shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just as simple. You turn around, you only door that does this, right? You rig everything up. It's analog. Everything look analog. Now, if you go buy analog, let's go to effects and let's say you go buy this analog compressor right here, or whatever, vice versa. Say you buy this compressor or this, or this compressor in real life. Say you got the physical one, a hardware compressor. Do you update that damn hardware compressor? You can't update that hardware compressor. What you bought is what you get, right? The hardware compressor that you have, the M class says an M class maximizer, say it's what a compressor. Did I put it on? Okay, let's say it's this master bus compressor. When you buy this in the hardware, this is what you get. You can never change these buttons. You can never update these buttons. And you will forever use that without having problems. They'll come out with a new one and they'll do certain things to it. Right? Make it look different, but it's the same sound, the same functionality, such and such. Right? So if you really think about it, that's the reason why Reason probably haven't updated their plugins. If like, for example, this reverb right here. This is their old school original reverb. This is what you see is what you get. Now they can bring out another reverb and that step up to a whole nother level and do something different or look different or design different. Like that'd be dope. But that's what they normally do anyway. But the original reverb, you get what you get the original because they creating something that deals with analog. It's the analog concept. And when you buy analog equipment, it doesn't change. When you spend thousands of dollars on an analog reverb or compressor or EQ, that's what you get. And you use that for years and you do not complain about it. You deal with what it is. And then when a new version come out, you probably spend all that money for it or you don't. You say, fuck it. See, but now since it get to a point where we spend cheaper on stuff and get more for what we pay for, then we complain about everything. We cry about everything. When end of the day, there's no reason why you still can't get no work done because at the end of the day, it's all about what you know. Like, think about this for a second, people. I'm not saying they can't update the button and, make the graphics on the screen look a little different and better. Like, for example, like the EQ in here, they can, this is the analog EQ concept if you really look at it. And if you bought a real analog EQ, it'll look, a graphic analog EQ, it'll look just like this. Hell, most of the old school analog EQs didn't have a graph. So Again, that's when rack extensions came in. Like I always say, that's the purpose of that, rack extensions. So you can get something that function better, that's really compatible with Reason. But like I was saying, that, a lot of the times, they say, well, the samples in here is the same samples. Well, yeah, why put a sample in there and take that sample out? No, you add more samples to it. You don't take that sample out, because what if you made a beat 10 years ago and you want to go back to that joint? Now you get a deal on something that somebody really want that beat. But now when you open it up, you can't. When you open it up, you just missing a whole bunch of sounds and samples, or maybe your instrument, maybe the instrument, they changed some stuff on the Maelstrom instrument, right? They updated the Maelstrom and did some crazy changes on it. So now when you drop it in, you open up that old song, it don't even sound right. It don't sound nothing the way it is, and y'all gonna complain about it. Yes, they can make the graphics look a little better, change the fonts of it, or maybe the knobs will look different. But the concept, but what it is, no, don't add let's add a third or a mod on it. No, just make a different style of a Maelstrom. Because if this was an analog grain table synthesizer that you paid thousands of dollars for, you won't be complaining about changing that Maelstrom grain table synthesizer. You're going to deal with what the hell it got and hope that they come out with a new version, and you're going to go buy it probably. And that's going to cost thousands of dollars. But when it comes to the software stuff that you get more for cheaper, everybody complain. Now I get about features and certain things that certain DAWs have. Like, for example, like if you go to the mixer, can we bust it and group it and stuff like that? Not bust it, but put it in the group folders or something like that. Or, drag and drop it to all the tracks at one time, like multitasking things or something like that. I get that when it comes to editing, like when you fade like this, and you should be able to have different type of styles and options of fading, stuff like that. I get they need to add that in Reason. But at the same time, it still doesn't mean that you can't get a job done and sound great. That's a fact. Let's be real. Because a lot of the times I find myself when I'm dealing with other DAWs that got a lot of features, hell, half of the features I don't even use anyway. And I record a lot of artists. I produce a lot of artists. I mix and master. And there's certain features that I have no use of using. And I can use it. And I'll be like, that's dope. But really, I say, do I really need to use it? No, I really don't need to use it. Especially if it's not making my job faster. Right? So, not to get off the subject. So it goes back to all these plugins that you see it that's built in here. Not with these all new. But all the original stuff, they say change it. No, keep it the way it is. If they want to make a new Reason computer, cool. Create a new one, in a different style, some new update, but keep the original one. Keep the original Dr. X loop player. The reason why is because when something get changed or something get added to it, it might cause the old stuff that you made different. I don't know. I'm not saying they can't. All I'm saying is that they built this around analog idea. And when you buy a analog computer like a Moog, like a synthesizer Moog, a Moog bass joint, right? If you bought that physical keyboard, you're not sitting here saying, yo, they need to come back and update and change my Moog keyboard and my buttons and everything. They gonna come out with a new one and gonna cost thousands of dollars again, and you might don't buy it. So what you do, you deal with what you got, you create. That still don't stop your creation. You still get in your bag and do what you do. That's all I'm saying. So all I'm telling y'all that the concept, that's why they probably don't do it with their old plugins. But as far as the graphics, that's what they should have did. If you have any questions, this is YYBY. Peace.